Fire's just about out, burning down the coals, and temps are still up there. I wanted to check the temperature of the stove top because I took the fire brick off. I'm going to see if it made much of a difference. $380, $340. And stovepipe. $209, $208 there. Check up here. $180. And we got about, I got there, you got 170, 69 going out. And we can do that without a problem, without the creosote buildup, because we're getting a hot burn side of the stove. Try to get that glare out of there. This is the back of the stove. I can't get a real good reading probably with the stove part because there's that heat shield there. It looks like down in there we're getting about 232 degrees. Out here it's, I could almost touch it with my hand, 116 in the lowest part. 161. That's because I got this back here insulated because I didn't want the heat to go that way. As I'm letting this burn down, I'll test the door frame. Most of the heat comes right out the front of the door. Door frame is still up there over 400 degrees. Then that's, I don't know if that's the glass or the coals. I'll probably open that up to see what the temperature is. No, that's still, whoa, still up there high. So the coals are still up around 1300 degrees. So this temperature's got to be some of the glass temp. 600 through the glass. Yeah, it could be. I'll let this cool down some more. Take a better look inside and give some directions about how the gas is flowing through this. I'll probably have to wait maybe an hour, I think, to let this cool down so I can touch it. Welcome back to the Double M Innovations channel. I had a number of requests asking, what exactly I did inside this stove to make that insulated burn chamber to get those higher temperatures. Because, I was trying to take care of all those gases that cause creosote. I want to get the temperatures up there to burn that stuff off. And in this video, I'm going to go over what I did inside here. I also took the stovepipe out so I could look down inside the stove to see how much room was in there. I still wasn't real happy with the thermal mass situation. I wanted something to store heat. And I wanted to see if there was enough room down inside across that top portion of the stove for some boiler tubes. Put some stainless steel boiler tubes across here for heating up some water and for thermal mass storage. So first, I'll go over what the stove was like before I made any adjustments to it. And then I'll go over what I did inside. This is a side view of the wood stove before I made any adjustments to it. This is the burn chamber in here. It was all lined with fire brick on the sides and the bottom. This is all fire brick down here. And there was one right up here on this baffle that goes across the ceiling of the burn chamber, then back out into the flue. This was a heavy steel plate right here. And then there was just a ledge that fire brick set in. So this is your burn chamber. We built your fire. It's not much of a fire, but anyway, this was the air wash, the air coming in here. There was also an air channel that went up through here and across the top. I didn't draw it in there because it makes it too complicated. But anyway, the air is coming through the slide valve, and then it'll travel down here where it wash across the glass door and fed the fire. Then the smoke would come back up and travel across that baffle, and then right up here it hit the top of the stove and then go out the chimney pipe. Well, that was the way it was before I made any adjustments to it. And then I'll erase this stuff here. I'll try to explain what I did inside here and what was going through my mind to even try to change this. What I wanted to try to do inside this wood stove was copy what was going on inside my masonry heater in my house. It has a hot enough burn that it burns up all those gases that cause creosote, and that creosote can be a real problem, and it's really beneficial if you can burn those gases up inside your wood burner, because you get that extra heat and then you don't have that creosote problem and you get a clean burn. In my masonry heater in the house, I have an insulated burn chamber. It has some rocket stove aspects to it too, for an 8-inch rocket stove. But this one has a 6-inch chimney. So in order to create that insulated burn chamber, what I did is I put a 2-inch piece of that ceramic fiber insulation about across like this. Part of it actually goes all the way back. I'll draw a top view too, because there'd be a chamber on each side of the ceiling. And this was 2-inch ceramic fiber board, and this actually just set right on top of the walls of the insulated burn chamber. The burn chamber is probably about right in here, the divider. And that's all built with a 1-inch ceramic fiber board and fire brick. So the fire brick, this would be like the center wall, and this was some more insulation there. I'll show you a look inside the wood stove to let you know what I'm talking about. And also on the back, I put some 1-inch ceramic fiber board, and on each side. This 2-inch ceiling ceramic fiber board will look kind of like this. This would be where the door's at right here, and this is the back of the stove, because there's a chamber on each side. This goes all the way to the back of the stove, so we got gases coming up on each side of the ceiling inside the wood stove. The wood stove is like about that, and this is 1-inch insulated ceramic fiber board all the way across here. And that's how the ceiling looks like. And this just sets right on top of this, the walls of the insulated burn chamber. I'll take you over to the stove now and give you a better idea of what it looks like inside and what exactly I did. This wood stove is a pretty small wood stove. It's the smallest one I could find that still had a glass door. And to give you an idea, we got this 21 inches across the front and 14 inches across the side. This is just another heat shield, or like another baffle if I wanted to put a blower that would blow air across the back and then out the top. But there's, it's just an empty space back there. And this probably was, I think, maybe $350 when I bought it. Probably about, maybe over 5 years ago now. The first thing I did on this wood stove to prepare it for the adjustments I wanted to make was just to remove all the fire brick. It was this stuff here that was a lighter fire brick. I think there might be some insulation aspect to it. I'm not quite sure, but it tends to be brittle and seems to break easier to me. But anyway, I just removed all those fire brick. There's a couple, two on top, and the sides were coated, and the floor was coated with fire brick, and I just took all them out. I wanted to design this something like a 6-inch batch box rocket stove. And to do that, you need to maintain that flow area of a 6-inch pipe. So I had to calculate all those openings to make sure I maintained 28 square inches of flow area. So that is actually the size of this opening in the back of this burn chamber. It's 4 inches across, and this is 7 inches up and down, so that's 28 inches of flow area, and the same off to each side now in the back, just so I can maintain that 28 inches, the 28 square inches of flow area. I wanted to spread it across the back, so when it got up higher, it would spread more evenly across the top of the stove. And this burn chamber is just 6 inches deep, well past here. And with the insulation on there now, it's about 16 inches wide. So what I did after I got all those fire brick out, I went and got some dense fire brick. This is the denser stuff. It seems to be more heat resistant and takes the heat better. And they just laid that across the floor in the front of the stove. That was going to be the size of the burn chamber. And after I did that, I put 1 inch of ceramic fiber board around each side and on the back. There was no ceramic fiber board underneath these fire brick. I did put 1 inch ceramic fiber board on the floor in the back of these two chambers, but nothing under these fire brick. There's no fire brick right here. This is just that ceramic fiber board right there. As long as the wood doesn't bump it too much, it seems to maintain its quality pretty good. In this dividing chamber, I used 1 inch ceramic fiber board. Then I just put fire brick all around the inside of this burn chamber. This lighter weight stuff, that's the stuff I used. I just put just that height, and I put this around the burn chamber. And then on top of those fire brick, I just put more pieces of that 1 inch ceramic fiber board. So this is like 2 inches thick. It's 2 inches thick here. And this is that ceiling piece. This is 2 inches thick, and that's just sitting on there. This is actually another little piece up there because I didn't quite have enough. I was just using some scrap stuff. But then you can see the ceiling goes all the way to the back in the center part, and then it opens up on each side. This is kind of loose. This stuff is mostly just sitting in here. If I don't bump it too much, it'll stay all right. And then up above, up here, where it first hits the ceiling, I took out those other thinner fire brick, and I put this full-size fire brick in place of them. And then if you look down inside there, I'll stick my hand in there, but this is, let's see, I can't get my finger around here. This is the opening that the exhaust gases pass through. We got the insulated ceramic fiber board right here, and then the steel baffle. So the exhaust gases will come out on each side from the burn chamber, strike the bottom of the fire brick that sits right on this wedge here, and it'll pass through across the top of the ceiling of the burn chamber and hit the bottom of this iron baffle. It's just a steel plate. It's pretty thick, this baffle. And then goes towards the front of the stove and then comes back out right here. So the hot exhaust gases will strike the bottom of the fire brick. That'll be the first material that those hot gases will hit that's not insulated, so they'll absorb quite a bit. That's why I wanted the full-size fire brick in there, so they could, absorb all that heat, so it wouldn't damage like a plate of metal or something. And then it goes through across the ceiling and the baffle. And this opening runs all the way across the top of the stove, top of the burn chamber, and it's 1.3 wide and about 21 inches long. So we're maintaining that 28 square inch area of flow. And if I give you a view on this side, you can see that I just got that full-size fire brick set on top of that ledge. And that's where that other one goes too, just on that ledge. And then over the top of that, I had placed some 1-inch ceramic fiber blanket. I forgot I did that. I did this like 2 years ago. I forgot I did that, but that kind of snugged everything up there a little better. And I wanted to leave a little space there if I wanted to get some more air in for that chamber above the ceiling on the top part of the stove. This is the air wash where the air, if you can see that, where the air comes down. The air comes down through here and washes over the glass and into the fire. But I left a little slit. I left the ceiling down a little bit in case I wanted to get some more air into that chamber above the ceiling. One thing I wish I would have did is maybe had maybe a strip of metal across here or something. This is kind of fragile and see it's getting kind of damaged a little bit. But anyway, that's pretty much what I got going on here. It's not that complicated really. It might sound complicated, but it's really not. This really wasn't a how-to video. It's more like a what I did video. This was my attempt to get the temperatures up high enough to where I can burn off those gases that cause creosote, and it works pretty good with this insulated burn chamber. I'm sure someone could improve the way I did it, but this seems to work pretty good. It cuts back down on the burn time. I know when they advertise for stoves, they always say, oh, this wood stove will keep a fire all night or for so many hours. But in order to do that, you got to throttle your stove way down. And when you do that, you just get those smoldering burns, and that can be a problem with creosote. So this is like a lot shorter burn. It's a smaller burn chamber too. It's a smaller fire, and it's a hotter fire, but it's also a faster burning fire. This will probably need to be fired up probably every hour. So like in here where I'm heating here, it's like maybe 3 hours I keep it going. And usually, I had some thermal mass fire brick and stuff trying to hold the heat overnight. I'm just trying to keep it from freezing in here. And I'm thinking a lot about, putting some stainless steel boiler tubes across this wood stove now to try to get more thermal mass storage. Because when you get those hot burns, it seems like a thermal mass storage is almost necessary too if you want to hold the heat, like all day. Like in my masonry stove in the house, that will hold heat all night and probably almost all day if it depends on the temperature outside. But, the fire is going just a little bit and then it's out and the thermal mass radiates the heat out. So I'm thinking real hard about drilling some holes in this stove and putting some stainless steel boiler tubes across there. Well, I hope this video informs you more about what I did inside this stove. And thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.